It's smoking. Can you guys see the smoke? Right here, it's melting on my meter. Wow, let's turn it off. See it? That Facebook group tried to say I'm doing a video on multi-wire branch circuits and shared neutrals and how panels are fed, and that little smoking incident happened pretty late in the video, so I figured I'd put it in the beginning in case you don't make it all the way there. But if you're interested in the rest of it, here it is. These two breakers are feeding out 243 volts. Yet, as they leave, only 2 huts leave and no neutral leaves. But this setup that it feeds is feeding 2 receptacles, and each receptacle has 123 volts on it. Well, 123 and 121. And they both are wired correctly and both feeding 120 volt loads. So 240 volts leaving the panel, no neutral involved, all loads 120 volts. So Solar Boy, his channel, he already did this demonstration using 2 light bulbs. I thought it'd be interesting to do the same setup with 2 hot plates. They each draw 12 amps and a bunch of meters in place so we can actually maybe see a little bit more what's going on. And even though I've already done a bunch of videos on split phase and 240 volts and things like that, I still get a lot of questions. So this demonstration is going to help address a lot of the questions I've still been getting. Here's what the wiring diagram looks like. Comes down, this leg comes down, feeds to the hot screw of that, goes out through the hot plate, and then when it gets to its white, instead of going back to the panel like a traditional, it just jumps to the white of the other receptacle, and then through the hot plate again, and these two, that hot is the other hot to the panel. So the 2 hot plates are in series. And again, like every time I try to explain this, one of the questions I get a lot is, well, don't share neutrals, don't do multi-wire branch circuits. This is not about multi-wire branch circuits. This is how your entire house is fed. The utility company brings to your house 2 hots, 1 neutral. 2 hots, 1 neutral. This isn't just about multi-wire branch circuits. All right, let's compare the wiring diagram to real life. The red and the black leave, but let's follow the red. The red comes down, goes to the brass of this receptacle. And the white of this receptacle the silver of that receptacle goes onto this white, which goes over to this receptacle's white, and the black of this receptacle is the other breaker. So there's no neutral connection. In this situation, the 2 hot plates are in series. When you have a 240 volt circuit with 2 loads in series, each load will receive 120 volts. It splits the voltage but shares the amperage. I just want to show you the amp readings you get with the hot plate fed through a traditional circuit. So you get just over 14 amps on the hot and just over 14 amps on the neutral. We all get that that is not 28 amps, right? That's the same 14 amps just coming back, completing its circuit. And it's not that what I'm saying doesn't apply to multi-wire branch circuits. It's that whatever you learn about multi-wire branch circuits governs how your whole house is fed. They're the same wiring diagram, the same physics, the same current flows, the same voltages. That's what I meant by when I said this isn't about multi-wire branch circuits. It's about multi-wire branch circuits and how your whole house is fed. This only works if the loads are identical. The loads have to be equal. So on this leg, we have 14 amps, and on that leg, we have 14 amps. So again, I said in one of my other videos, that's not 28 amps. That's the same 14 amps going through here and coming back here. Because I could also put my meter here on, I don't know what you'd call that, the neutral or the jumper between the two, and I still get 14 amps between them. That doesn't mean I've just clamped my amp probe in 3 different spots for a total of 14 times 3. I don't get to just keep adding it up, right? That's the same 14 amps. And then the AC flips and it goes back this way. It's the same 14 amps going back and forth. It's not 14 amps coming out at the same time. Because it's alternating current, only one leg has current flowing out of it. One's always out and in, out and in. Same 14 amps. So we only get even voltage when the loads are the same. If the load becomes imbalanced, like this hot plate is drawing less than this hot plate, because they're sharing amperage, The only way for two uneven loads to draw the same amperage is for each load to get a different voltage. It's Ohm's law, right? So if I turn off this hot plate, now this load is less than this load, but we still have the same coming out on each leg, right? Because it has to be the same amperage going back and forth. You can't have different amperages on the legs if you don't have a neutral tap. So what the physics do to make that possible is this load now only gets 68 volts, and this load gets 175 volts. If I turn the burner back on, it evens back out. If I turn them both off, this one just gets continuity ringing through, and this one gets the full 240 volts. And now we have no amperage. There was a Facebook group I left because they were supposedly electricians, but they didn't think this was a big deal. If I move this breaker up one spot, right? Now, none of it works. Hold on, I'm clipping my amp probe back, my meter leads back on. None of it works. You get no amperage, no voltage, no nothing. In that Facebook group, they were trying to tell me having them fed from the same leg is not a big deal. It works just fine. I'll show you the way it works. It's not fine. So I've added a neutral. So we have 120 volts, 122 volts, 14 amps. Now if you notice, now that we have a neutral, the voltage is perfectly even. But what do we have for amperage on that neutral? Here, we still have the 14. And here, we have nothing. But now, what that neutral helps us with is when we make the load imbalanced, nothing bad happens. All the voltage stays good. Because they're no longer in series, so the difference between the two legs, the difference in amperage between the two legs, we have 14 on that leg and 5 on that leg. So the difference goes back on the neutral. So what that Facebook group was trying to tell me how it was okay that we can have them be like that and everything works fine. 117 volts, 117 volts, 13 amps on that leg, 13 amps on this leg. But now the neutral has 27 amps. I can smell it already, unless that's the hot plates. 27 amps on that wire, and the breaker will not trip. It is smoking. Can you guys see the smoke? Right here, it's melting on my meter. Wow, let's turn it off. See it? That Facebook group tried to say that was okay. So, just for clarity, it wasn't the 14 that melted, it was my jumper, which, it might be a 16, I don't know. It looks pretty close to a 14. I thought it was a 14. I thought it was a stranded 14, but I don't know. Now that I'm really paying attention, I think it's only a 16 maybe. But yeah, it melted pretty good. Hold on, let's see if I can show you. So that's really what I wanted to do in the video, was just show the different way a 240 volt circuit can give you 120 volts at different loads. A bunch of questions from my RV video and my why 240 doesn't need a neutral video. Had a bunch of questions and I feel like I addressed them just by showing this demonstration. I have another video planned for this setup. I'll probably be out tomorrow. But cool. Long video, 9 minutes, but all right, thanks.